At the core of Daniel Craig's ability to look biologically younger than his chronological age is a relationship with food that treats every meal as a signal rather than a reward. Aging at the cellular level accelerates when the body is exposed to repeated metabolic chaos, and nothing creates that chaos faster than unstable blood sugar and chronic inflammation. The body interprets frequent spikes of glucose as a state of emergency, releasing insulin again and again, eventually dulling its effectiveness. Over time this damages blood vessels, stiffens skin proteins, and exhausts mitochondria, the tiny energy factories inside every cell. A diet that avoids these spikes does not merely control weight, it preserves structure, energy, and cellular rhythm. The dietary pattern he follows emphasizes protein as an anchor rather than a supplement. Protein stabilizes blood sugar by slowing digestion and triggering hormones that signal fullness and repair. From a biological standpoint, amino acids are not optional nutrients, they are the raw materials used to rebuild muscle fibers, enzymes, neurotransmitters, and skin tissue. After the age of 40, the body becomes less efficient at using dietary protein, a phenomenon known as anabolic resistance. Increasing protein quality and timing counters this decline, helping muscles retain density and skin maintain elasticity. This is one reason his physique appears firm rather than depleted, and his face structured rather than sagging. Healthy fats play a parallel role. Instead of fearing fat, his diet uses it to regulate hormones and inflammation. Omega-rich fats from whole foods support cell membrane integrity, allowing nutrients to move in and waste to move out efficiently. When cell membranes are flexible, insulin sensitivity improves and inflammation decreases. This has visible effects, including more even skin tone and reduced water retention. At a deeper level, these fats nourish the brain, supporting cognitive sharpness and emotional stability, which indirectly affects posture, expression, and overall vitality. Vegetables form the third pillar, not as decoration, but as chemical protection. Plant compounds known as polyphenols and antioxidants reduce oxidative stress, the slow cellular damage caused by metabolism itself. Oxidative stress cannot be eliminated, but it can be managed. Diets rich in colorful vegetables lower inflammatory markers and protect collagen from breakdown. Collagen, the protein scaffolding of skin and connective tissue, degrades faster when inflammation is high. Preserving it is not about creams or treatments, but about reducing the internal conditions that destroy it. What is deliberately minimized is just as important. Ultra-processed foods introduce refined sugars, industrial oils, and additives that disrupt gut bacteria. The gut is not merely a digestive organ, it is a regulatory hub that influences immunity, mood, and hormone balance. A disturbed gut microbiome increases systemic inflammation, which accelerates aging across every organ system. By favoring whole foods with simple ingredient lists, the digestive system remains efficient, absorption improves, and inflammatory signaling stays low. This dietary structure also reduces constant hunger, which has psychological benefits. When blood sugar remains stable, the brain is not pulled into cycles of craving and fatigue. Stress hormones like cortisol stay lower, protecting muscle tissue and preventing fat accumulation around the abdomen. Chronically elevated cortisol thins the skin, disrupts sleep, and accelerates visible aging. Food that calms rather than excites the nervous system indirectly preserves youth. The most powerful aspect of this approach is its sustainability. There is no reliance on extremes, deprivation, or novelty. The body responds best to consistency, because consistency allows biological systems to predict their environment. When the body feels predictability, it invests energy in repair rather than defense. Over years, this quiet metabolic stability reshapes how the body ages, not by stopping time, but by slowing the damage that makes time visible. The second pillar of Daniel Craig's youthful appearance is the deliberate timing and frequency of his meals, which prioritizes metabolic efficiency over mere caloric intake. The human body is not designed to be in a constant state of digestion, it is designed to alternate between periods of intake and periods of repair. By spacing meals strategically and occasionally allowing extended gaps between eating, Craig leverages a process that scientists call autophagy, a cellular recycling mechanism in which the body identifies damaged proteins and organelles and breaks them down to reuse their components. This is not starvation, it is metabolic maintenance. When the body is given these periods of quiet, it shifts focus from processing new energy to repairing and optimizing existing tissues, which has profound implications for aging at the cellular level. During extended periods without food, insulin levels fall, and cells enter a state in which oxidative stress is reduced. This allows mitochondria, the energy-producing organelles, to function more efficiently and prevents the accumulation of free radicals that otherwise contribute to cellular damage. Studies in gerontology have shown that intermittent fasting or extended meal spacing can improve insulin sensitivity, reduce visceral fat, and enhance markers of longevity. Craig's approach demonstrates that the timing of nutrition is just as important as its content. The body interprets the pauses between meals as permission to repair and adapt, which over time contributes to sustained vitality, energy, and physical resilience. The controlled approach to eating also helps regulate hormone levels that influence both metabolism and appearance. Growth hormone and testosterone, for example, are more effectively utilized when the body is not continuously digesting food. These hormones stimulate protein synthesis, muscle repair, and fat metabolism. When meals are too frequent, spikes in insulin and other digestive hormones can suppress these anabolic signals, subtly accelerating the loss of muscle mass and metabolic flexibility that comes with age. By incorporating intentional periods of fasting, Craig maintains a hormonal environment that favors tissue preservation and regeneration rather than deterioration. Psychologically, this rhythm of eating also has significant effects. When meals are predictable and spaced, the brain does not experience repeated cycles of craving, satiety, and stress, which are often triggered by irregular eating patterns or high-sugar diets. Cortisol, the stress hormone, remains more stable, reducing its catabolic effects on muscle and connective tissue. This stability contributes not only to physical integrity but also to a calm, controlled demeanor, which is part of the aesthetic effect of youthfulness. The body and mind are in synchrony, moving efficiently and without the micro-stress that chronic overfeeding imposes on both systems. Moreover, the periods between meals encourage mindfulness and intention. Every bite becomes purposeful, and eating is not a background activity but a conscious interaction with the body's needs. This conscious practice fosters awareness of internal signals, satiety, energy levels, and digestion, which is often lost in modern eating habits dominated by convenience and distraction. By listening carefully to the body, Craig minimizes unnecessary intake and supports metabolic balance, which prevents the subtle accumulation of fat, fluid retention, and inflammation that can accelerate aging and disrupt posture and movement. Finally, this pattern also enhances mitochondrial resilience. During the quiet periods between meals, mitochondria are able to recycle components, reduce oxidative damage, and improve the efficiency of energy production. Since these organelles are fundamental to muscle function, endurance, and even skin appearance, the improved mitochondrial health translates directly into the lean, firm, and energetic physique that Craig maintains. By structuring his meals to allow metabolic rest, he creates a repeated, daily environment in which repair, regeneration, and energy optimization dominate over passive wear and tear, ensuring that the body remains functionally young even as the calendar advances. The third pillar of Daniel Craig's remarkable physical condition is his approach to exercise, which emphasizes adaptation, coordination, and functional strength rather than simply chasing calories burned or fleeting aesthetic results. As the body ages, it loses more than muscle mass. It loses efficiency, balance, and the precise neurological control that allows movements to be executed safely and smoothly. Craig's routine demonstrates a principle that modern exercise science increasingly recognizes. It is not the intensity of effort alone that preserves youth, but the way movement stimulates both muscles and the nervous system in harmony. By focusing on controlled, purposeful exercises, he engages the body in a dialogue that maintains muscular density while simultaneously training the brain to coordinate movement patterns with precision. Heavy compound lifts are central to this approach, but they are executed with intention rather than volume. These lifts target multiple muscle groups simultaneously, including the large muscle chains of the legs, back, and core, which are essential for maintaining posture and overall metabolic health. Physiologically, compound lifts promote the release of growth hormone and testosterone, even in late middle age, which are critical for preserving lean tissue, bone density, and connective tissue strength. Unlike repetitive isolation exercises, which strengthen one small muscle in isolation, these functional movements train the body to stabilize joints, recruit secondary muscles, and respond dynamically to shifts in balance, all of which are essential for preventing injury as one ages. At the same time, Craig's exercise routine incorporates controlled functional movements that mimic the demands of daily life. Lunges, squats, controlled push-ups, and pulling movements develop muscles that are used in ordinary tasks, lifting objects, reaching overhead, or walking upstairs. These movements train not just strength, but movement quality and efficiency. With age, the body loses coordination more quickly than raw strength. By emphasizing controlled motion and full range of movement, Craig preserves neuromuscular connections that allow the muscles to fire in the correct sequence. This coordination reduces unnecessary strain on joints and connective tissue, preventing wear and tear that can accumulate over decades and manifest as stiffness, discomfort, or injury. Another crucial aspect is the focus on slow, deliberate repetition. Many think intensity comes from speed or maximum effort, but for an older body, efficiency and control generate the greatest long-term adaptation. Slow, mindful movement maximizes tension in the working muscles without placing excessive stress on ligaments or joints. This kind of training stimulates slow-twitch muscle fibers, which are particularly important for endurance, balance, and postural support. In contrast, fast, high-impact movements often recruit primarily fast-twitch fibers, which can fatigue quickly and risk injury. By emphasizing slow control, Craig maintains the foundation of strength that supports energy metabolism, hormone regulation, and posture, while avoiding microtrauma that would otherwise accumulate silently over time. Craig also integrates exercises that challenge stability and balance under controlled conditions. Single-leg exercises, rotational movements, and dynamic core engagement strengthen the stabilizing muscles that are often overlooked in conventional training. These stabilizers act like internal shock absorbers, allowing larger muscles to generate force safely and efficiently. Improved stability translates directly into everyday life. Walking on uneven surfaces, lifting objects, or reacting to sudden changes in direction. Functional strength ensures that the body does not just look capable in a mirror, but actually performs optimally under real-world conditions. The combined effect of these practices is profound. The muscles remain dense and metabolically active, the joints are reinforced by surrounding support, and the nervous system retains its ability to control motion with precision. Beyond physical appearance, this approach protects energy balance, hormone regulation, and systemic inflammation, all of which contribute to both longevity and the perception of youth. By prioritizing adaptation over intensity, coordination over sheer effort, and function over vanity, Daniel Craig's exercise routine provides a model for maintaining vitality, resilience, and confidence in the body well into the late 50s and beyond, demonstrating that strength, movement quality, and neurological efficiency are inseparable components of looking and feeling younger than one's chronological age. The fourth key aspect of Daniel Craig's regimen is the deliberate balance between intensity and recovery, an often overlooked principle that plays a critical role in maintaining both youthful appearance and functional vitality. Many assume that looking fit at 57 is the result of relentless training, long hours in the gym, or extreme exertion, but biological reality tells a different story. The human body responds not only to stimulus, but to the interplay between stimulus and rest. Muscles grow, connective tissue strengthens, and neurological efficiency improves not during effort, but during recovery. Craig's approach emphasizes this equilibrium, recognizing that overtaxing the system accelerates wear and tear, whereas intentional, well-timed recovery allows adaptation, repair, and resilience. High-intensity workouts are included in his routine, but they are brief and carefully controlled. The goal of these sessions is to stimulate metabolic, muscular, and hormonal responses without overwhelming the body's capacity to adapt. During these periods, the nervous system is challenged, the cardiovascular system is elevated, and muscle fibers are stressed in a targeted way that promotes growth and strength. However, the intensity is not sustained to exhaustion. The sessions are calibrated to produce stimulus without tipping into chronic stress. This precision ensures that growth hormone, testosterone, and other anabolic processes are activated effectively, which supports lean tissue maintenance, fat metabolism, and cellular repair, all essential for retaining a youthful physique. Recovery periods are treated with equal importance. Between high-intensity sessions, Craig prioritizes sleep, mobility, and activities that reduce physiological stress. These periods allow the body to process micro-damage to muscles and connective tissue, reinforce neurological connections, and clear metabolic byproducts that accumulate during exercise. Scientific studies consistently show that inadequate recovery leads to elevated cortisol, a stress hormone that accelerates muscle breakdown, increases visceral fat, and damages collagen, contributing to sagging skin and the visible signs of aging. By allowing sufficient recovery, Craig's routine ensures that the body repairs itself, rather than merely surviving repeated stress, creating long-term improvements rather than temporary gains. Deliberate recovery also supports the nervous system, which plays a central role in both movement and appearance. Chronic stress and overtraining stimulate sympathetic dominance, the fight-or-flight state, which can result in shallow breathing, heightened tension in muscles, and disrupted sleep. These physiological states do not just influence performance, they accelerate cellular aging and compromise hormone balance. By integrating periods of calm, restorative activity into his regimen, Craig maintains parasympathetic tone, a state in which the body prioritizes repair, immune efficiency, and balanced hormone release. In this way, recovery directly supports metabolic function, skin health, and the preservation of lean muscle mass. Another dimension of this approach is how it prevents injury. Joints, tendons, and ligaments respond slowly to repeated stress, particularly after the fourth decade of life. Short, intense workouts followed by planned recovery reduce the risk of cumulative microtrauma, which can lead to pain, stiffness, and compensatory movement patterns that accelerate aging. In addition, recovery allows the connective tissue to adapt to the loads placed on it, preserving joint stability and mobility. This translates directly into everyday function, ensuring that the body remains strong, agile, and capable rather than brittle and constrained. Beyond the physical, recovery also reinforces psychological resilience. When the body is allowed to repair, the mind experiences confidence and calm. Sleep quality improves, stress is reduced, and motivation for the next training session remains high. This consistency over months and years compounds the benefits of exercise, producing changes in both appearance and functional performance that far outlast the immediate effects of a single workout. By treating recovery not as a passive absence of activity, but as an active component of training, Craig maximizes the effectiveness of his efforts and ensures that every session contributes to lasting vitality. The integration of deliberate intensity with intentional recovery is, therefore, not merely a tactical choice, it is a principle rooted in biology. The body ages gracefully when it is consistently challenged but never pushed beyond its capacity to repair. Craig's routine demonstrates that youthfulness is sustained not by constant exertion, but by harmonizing stimulus and restoration, allowing muscles to grow stronger, connective tissue to adapt, hormones to remain balanced, and the nervous system to remain resilient, all of which combine to maintain a physique and energy level that defy chronological age. The fifth and perhaps most subtle factor in Daniel Craig's youthful appearance is psychological discipline, an aspect of longevity that is often overlooked yet profoundly influences both body and mind. Physical vitality is inseparable from mental state. Stress, anxiety, and inconsistent habits accelerate the aging process as surely as poor diet or inactivity. Craig's approach demonstrates a mastery of restraint, consistency, and focus, where routines are followed not out of obsession but out of respect for the signals the body requires to function optimally. Over decades, this psychological framework compounds into visible and measurable effects on muscle tone, skin quality, energy levels, and overall appearance. One element of this discipline is the restraint with which he approaches indulgence. Diet and exercise are not motivated by fear or guilt but by conscious understanding of how each choice affects the body. By consistently avoiding excessive sugar, processed foods, or meals that destabilize blood sugar, he maintains metabolic stability that translates into lower inflammation, preserved muscle mass, and leaner body composition. The psychological habit of choice reinforcement, repeating beneficial actions reliably rather than in spurts, teaches the nervous system to anticipate stability rather than stress, which indirectly protects hormone balance and reduces chronic cortisol levels that can erode youthful appearance. Consistency in training also exemplifies psychological discipline. Rather than chasing novelty or extremes, Craig focuses on exercises that he can perform safely, effectively, and regularly. This approach is grounded in an understanding of adaptation. The body responds best to repeated, high-quality stimulus over time. Irregular, unpredictable, or extreme training creates cumulative stress that accelerates aging at the cellular and systemic level. By keeping routines simple, deliberate, and repeatable, he ensures that the body can build resilience, repair micro-damage efficiently, and maintain functional strength. Over time, the effects of this disciplined repetition manifest as enhanced coordination, posture, and balance, all contributing to a perception of vitality that transcends chronological age. Psychological restraint also extends to recovery and stress management. Craig recognizes that high-intensity effort alone does not preserve youth. The body must also rest, repair, and recalibrate. By committing to quality sleep, mobility work, and relaxation practices, he minimizes chronic activation of the sympathetic nervous system, which is the body's stress response pathway. When stress is persistent, inflammatory markers rise, telomeres shorten, and hormone balance is disrupted. By integrating recovery intentionally, Craig maintains both the physical and psychological conditions necessary for the body to remain adaptive, resilient, and functionally young. Furthermore, psychological discipline influences how the body interprets movement. When confidence is present and the brain trusts the body, movement is fluid, efficient, and safe. Conversely, fear or self-doubt can produce tension, jerky motions, and compensatory patterns that accelerate wear and tear on joints and connective tissue. By cultivating mental calm and self-assuredness in both training and daily life, Craig ensures that his movements reinforce strength and stability rather than undermine them. This connection between mind and body explains why appearance, posture, and energy are as much the result of mental habits as they are of physical regimen. Finally, the long-term impact of psychological discipline lies in habit formation and lifestyle integration. When practices are followed consistently over decades, the body operates in a state optimized for repair, balance, and resilience. The nervous system interprets repeated signals of safety and consistency as permission to invest energy in regeneration rather than defense. Hormones, circulation, metabolism, and immune function all adapt accordingly. This compounded effect explains why Craig's physical presence appears younger than his chronological age. The combination of dietary consistency, intentional exercise, measured recovery, and psychological restraint orchestrates a symphony of signals that maintains vitality, strength, and aesthetic integrity far beyond what casual observation might suggest. Through this lens, it becomes clear that aging gracefully is not the result of genetics alone, nor merely of effort expended in the gym or kitchen. It is the product of a life structured around consistent, informed choices that harmonize physiology, psychology, and behavior, allowing the body to remain adaptive, efficient, and visibly youthful over time.